Welcome back to another first impression, this time for the anime. The Villainess is adored by the prince of the neighboring kingdom. Synopsis on any list. Tiara Rose Lapis Clementine is said to marry Hard Knight's Crown Prince of Lapis Lazuli, until she suddenly remembers her past life and realizes she's been reincarnated into her favorite game, the Ring of Lapis Lazuli, as the doomed Villainess. But just as she is about to lose hope, the Crown Prince of Aquasteed proposes instead, with this unexpected turn finally lead to a happy ending of her own. So we have a romance, a villainous story. We have Tiara Rose Lapis Clementine on the left, and we have the Crown Prince of Aquasteed on the right with the blue hair. Hard Knight, the Crown Prince of Lapis Lazuli, is blonde. We have him down here. And we also have Hakari. Now, this is a typical story where we have the Prince of Lapis Lazuli, which is Hard Knights. He is engaged to Tiara Rose, our main character, who plays the quote-unquote villain. And this is essentially the scenario of a game that our main character played and reincarnated into, as is common with these stories, as the villainess Tiara Rose. And the original heroine is Akari. So we have our main character, who is engaged to Hard Knight, and Akari, the original heroine, comes between them and is trying to woo the prince to her side. The typical kind of story for these villainous, or the typical plot for these villainous stories. There's so much. My brain is going to too many places. I did not like this show at all. The first episode ruined a lot. Now, normally in these kinds of shows, be it normal isekai, be it like villainous isekai, we have a setup that is very typical. I find these setups very weak. They are not done really well at all. But in most of the shows, these are like 5-10 minutes and they're gone. You know, we have the setup. We can now introduce our main characters, Aquasteed and Tiara Rose, their relationship in this case. You know, but here we spent a whole episode with the setup. And it is not good. There are so many problems. Now, the main part is, as is typical, we have Tiara Rose, our main character, Hard Knight. These two are officially engaged until naturally the big ball comes and he's then reprimanding her and dissolving the engagement, the typical part, but it did not come to that yet. So they are still officially engaged. I do have the first episode pulled up so I can illustrate some parts. Now, one of the earlier parts is, I do not have the timer for these naturally because I am too unorganized. But an earlier version or part, right, is whenever, this is where she got her memory back. This is an earlier part. So, engagement is still ongoing. Here she remembers her past, yada yada, doesn't really matter. Engagement is still ongoing. But the prince has in his arm a different woman. Now, I feel like this would look horrible for the king, or the royal family, to be openly in some kind of relationship with another woman while being engaged to Tiara Rose. Additionally, which is not really it is mentioned in the show. Kiara Rose has a specific name. I have too many tabs. I'm so organized. Kiara Rose Lapis Clementine. Now, here she is the daughter of the Prime Minister in this story. So her dad is very close to the father. And because they did a good job, for some reason they got a special name, and that is the Lapis name, which is part of the kingdom's name, to give them somewhat of a title, because they are doing such a good job. So not only have we an official engagement, we have an official engagement with some of the most important people in the country. This engagement is going to further the name of the king. It is bringing those two families together. It is a very good idea for an engagement, a very political one. It makes a lot of sense, and the prince is single-handedly destroying that by openly being in some kind of relationship with another woman while still engaged. He could have at any point went to the king and potentially dissolved the engagement another way. You know, the typical, you can just ask, you can do a lot of stuff. Now, the moment before where we see those two together was where she got her memories back. That is important for later. Now, here, this is a big ball. So here was the whatever ceremony where we get the dissolution of the engagement. Typical story stuff. Now, she is in front of the door. How it works is she's going to tell the knights here, or the guards, who she is. They are going to open the door, announce to everyone that she's coming, or that she is entering into this big hall, so everyone knows. This is most likely done for everyone, because it's like a typical thing that you can see. You see here, they open the door, bam, here's where they announce she's coming in. This is a big gathering where we get the dissolution. Important. We have the Prime Minister here at the back, next to the king. He is also here. Now, you will be able to miss that the king is here, because he's not going to do anything in this whole scene. But he's here the whole time. Now, she's coming in alone. Naturally, we have conversations going. Why is she coming alone? Normally, you would be entering with your fiancé or someone else. Someone important to you, as someone who's escorting you. Now, as you see, the prince is already here. Now, the dialogue already... Some people here are asking, now, why is she alone? Why is the prince with Akari, with this random woman? I mean, random, she came to the school. It's the heroine of the original story. It doesn't matter. Now, you wouldn't ask this right now, because you already saw them enter, because they are already inside. Now, the part is naturally, okay, we have the whole her coming in, and he's like, oh, I'm going to dissolve our engagement. Here's the Prime Minister, her dad, naturally very angry, and trying to potentially go and help her, and she's saying, I got this under control, like thing. You can even see the king on the left, just in case you missed his involvement. Now, sorry, a little fly. This whole thing is so strange, because he entered with a random woman while still engaged to our main character into this gathering with a lot of different people who all see him entering with a random woman while still engaged to someone else. This is, I would assume, a very horrible look for the royal family, because what is going on? There was no official dissolvement of the engagement. There was no mentioning that you have a sister or what else. You are very close to this woman. Are you more or less in an affair, which does not look good? Additionally, this Kiara Rose, our main character, is the daughter of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister, the right-hand man of the king. And I would assume that in this case, the Prime Minister would go to the king and be like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Why is my daughter alone? Why is your son, who should be with my daughter, with a random woman? What is this whole situation? And the king would also most likely be asking the same question, what is going on? Because this engagement was not decided by the prince and Kiara Rose. Naturally, it was decided by the king and the prime minister. It's more or less an agreement, I assume, to be like, hey, our children are going to marry, we are going to be closer as a family, the royal family gets a little bit of your good reputation, and you in turn get more power, whatever. It makes sense. But this is like more or less spitting on the agreement from the royal family side, which I feel like the prime minister would take as not so great of a thing to do. Now, you may not believe me, but neither the king nor the prime minister are going to appear in this scene at all from here on out, because that wouldn't make too much sense. I would assume, if I were to make this in a story, that the king would just send the prince away, because he needs to wrestle back control. It looks like he does not have control of his son. It does not look like, if he can't control his own family, how is he going to control the kingdom? It is a horrible look. Now we get to the dissolution, which he is like, hey, he's throwing stuff against her as always, the typical stuff. As example, what he's telling is, oh yeah, you are bullying my girl here. And she's like, our main character is like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just telling her how stuff runs around here. He puts out as an example, you told her that she is not supposed to dance with me. She, our main character, is answering, I told her to not dance a third time with you. You already danced twice, and the third time is only allowed for your fiance and not for anyone else. He puts a couple points out. She has always, our main character has always a reasonable explanation that makes sense and is mostly to keep the reputation intact. So he has no real way to dissolve the engagement. All the stuff he's throwing out, she counters, and that's mostly it. I mean, he can't really... She's not a villain. I don't know why she's supposed to be a villain. She's just not a villain. Now, the next part is so stupid. So what he's like, okay, but I'm still going to dissolve the engagement, and he's asking for our main character to agree, and she's like, okay, if that doesn't work, you want to be with her, I guess let's dissolve the engagement. Which then prompts him to say, okay, I'm going to get engaged to this random lady, which is Akari. And because she is the future queen, that means you have insulted or whatever the future queen, and therefore I am going to banish you. That is his reasoning. His reasoning is, I dissolve my engagement with you, get engaged with this woman, and because you talked with this woman that is now, from this point on, a potential future queen, I'm banishing you. Man, that makes so much sense. And the whole time, the king is not interfering. I do not, in all of these stories, the king is the one who can decide this, not the prince. The prince has zero authority. The king decides, because this is what the king decided before. It is his decision to dissolve the engagement, not the decision of the prince, not the decision of Tiara Rose. It's the king's decision, essentially. He is the one who controls everything. It is also the king's decision to banish people and not the princess. It is always so stupid. Some stories have that as a theme or part of the story, where the prince is overreaching and the king is promptly disciplining the prince, essentially. This is such a stupid part. But we are not done, because naturally we are not. So she is engagement dissolved. He's going to get engaged to Akari, and because of that you get banished. Because she is now the future queen to be. You said something bad to her because I don't know what. I'm banishing you. Bullshit already. Now we get to Aquastit. He's coming in and he's like, wait. You see the king in the background? Maybe you have forgotten him. Not that I mentioned him a bunch of times. Did not say anything. He's just in the background. This whole situation would be so much less bullshit if the king was not here. And the prime minister, for that matter. But Aquastit comes in and is like, oh, stop. I see you are not engaged anymore to him, right? So would you be willing to be engaged with me? And she's like, I don't know. I don't know what you mean. Maybe not. Now, this is naturally where we find out, more or less, that Akari is also reincarnated, because she decides, hey, Aquastit, don't go with her, come with us. She is not happy only getting one prince, she wants both at the same time, I guess. So she's trying to pull him away. Now, this whole situation is, this is the last gathering after they finished school in Lapis Lazuli, the kingdom where the blonde guy is from. This is his kingdom, therefore his king that somehow disappeared on the screen, sure. Now, that means Aquastit, as the title of the show says, is the prince of the neighboring kingdom. Now, she's trying to pull him away, to be like, hey, go with us and don't go with the Villainess. Our Villainess, our MC, is trying to tell her, hey, this is not how you behave against or with royalty. You should not do this. And she's like, oh, I'm doing what I want. Which prompts Aquastit to more or less get two of his knights to, I guess, imprison her or put her into her room. Which is... What? This situation is so crazy. We have the prince of a neighboring kingdom coming here and more or less imprisoning or putting under house arrest the future queen-to-be of this kingdom at this point. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? The whole situation. The king, by the way, which was at the beginning here, you never see him in this whole episode. This is the first episode. This is the setup. I had so many problems. I just had to talk about that. I mean, already yapped enough. There are naturally more problems coming later on. Because naturally there are. Let's just go to ratings. You saw mine already. 60% on any list. 6.25 on my anime list. I give it a 6 out of 10. Barely. It is so close to a 5, so close that I would probably recommend you not watching this one, because this is not a good show. Another spoiler, I mean, we talked about the first episode, but there's a little bit of a spoiler I want to put out. We find out now she gets her memories like a day before the ball, before the gathering, or shortly before the gathering. Now the romance interest, Aquasteed, the blue-haired guy, he's supposed to be the main romance interest in the sequel of the series, The Ringer of Lapis Lazuli. But for some reason, he proposed to her in this game, and she doesn't know why. We find out that while going to school, he saw her and he slowly but surely fell in love, but he couldn't really do anything because she was still engaged. So he decided to, let lions sleep, kind of a deal. Try not to follow up on his feelings. Now, seemingly, this all happened before she got her memories back, which means that in the main game, he should theoretically also interfere and get engaged to the Villainess. But he does not. But for some reason, in our version, he does. There's no real reason to do that. There's no real difference. So far as we know, all the same situations happen that happen in the game. And it's like, there's, I believe, one, she doesn't collapse whenever she sees the prince with Akari the first time in the game. But that is the only thing that changes. The rest is the same. He still has the feelings for her. In this story and not in the game, he should have the same feelings. It just doesn't work. The setup is I yapped enough. I do not like it.